Hello, everyone. Next up, we are going to talk about wine, which is one of my favourite subjects. I'm sure it's a lot of your favourite subjects as well. Everyone knows how great Australian wine is these days, and of course, what wonderful environments they are created in, and the fantastic experiences you can have that go beyond the cellar door. So, we're going to be hearing from Kate Schilling, who is the Executive Officer at Ultimate Winery Experiences, about more of that in the next half an hour. You will first see a lovely short film from Yalumba with Tracy Taylor, who is one of 6 generations of this family business. And then Kate will be chatting with Lisa Anderson, who is the manager for tourism hospitality at Yalumba Wine Company. Then, of course, we're going to be back for a live Q&A with Kate, so get your questions at the ready. Feel free to post them as we go along, and of course, answer our little questions when you glean the little nuggets of info here. So, over to Ultimate Winery Experiences.
Yalumba is an ancient Aboriginal word. It translates into all the country around. Here at Yalumba Wines, Australia's oldest family-owned winery, we were established back in 1849. Today, we are proudly 6 generations of one family. Our Icons of Yalumba experience will take you to places where nobody else gets to go. It's a progressive tasting, so you have all of our rare and fines in a different place. We start off in our wine room with beautiful Virgilius, which is our Viognier. Then we come to our family tasting room to taste some very, very old vine Grenache. We'll take you up to our signature cellars. Then we'll walk to our cooperage, where you will see barrels being made. From there, we walk up the lane to the Ceilidh Hut, where we will taste a complete vertical of our famous the Ceilidh. We cannot wait to welcome you here and share our journey with the next generation at Yalumba.
Hey Lisa, how are you going?
Yeah, good, thanks, Kate.
Excellent.
Great day here in the Barossa, a little bit overcast, but picking, and we're very busy picking all the grapes ready for vintage.
Oh, that's fantastic. Autumn's such a lovely time in the Barossa, that's for sure. Hey, I wanted to grab you for a quick chat because our agents over in the UK, hello everyone in the UK, are about to do a special tasting with one of your fellow members of the Australian First Families of Wine. They're going to do a tasting with Brown Brothers. And I was thinking about Brown Brothers and the beautiful wines that they make in the King Valley. And I realised that actually, when it comes to the First Families of Wine and our vines across Australia, we have some pretty significant stories to tell when it comes to old vines and, you know, those heritage experiences that we unlock. And I know that Yalumba's preparing for a big anniversary. So tell us what's happening, how you've come to be where you're at and what's going on as you plan for this anniversary.
Yeah, so like you were discussing with Brown Brothers, they're part of the Australian First Families of Wine, and Yalumba is actually the oldest of all the families. We're Australia's oldest family-owned winery, and next year in November we'll be turning 175.
Wow.
So it's quite significant for us as a company. We're 5th generation is the chairperson of our company. 7th generation is pretty much the general manager of marketing. And happy to say that the 7th generation is a few days old. So we've got
right.
a girl, the first grandchild for this generation, for the 7th
Wow. So
really
Jess is
Jessica,
the head of marketing, and she's generation number 6, and
Correct.
now she's had a little baby. So there's 7 generations in one.
Exactly. So, and as Australia's oldest one, there's more generations that have happened through other wine companies, but we can happy to say that we're the oldest one. Yeah, and lots happening to have a look at our celebrations for next year. But it's still a little bit in the planning. So a bit secret under wraps, but keep an eye out.
Excellent. And knowing you guys and the way you do celebrate in style, I suspect that no matter what time of the year our English agents are booking their customers, it's going to be a great time to come to the Barossa and see what's happening at Yalumba. So well done. I think that's going to be really great. So with the with this current year and where we're at right now, I know you have experiences on the rate sheet that you're offering that really unlock that heritage story. So with the rates about to drop on the 1st of April and knowing that we've got agents that are listening in and are really keen to know what's coming up, do you want to talk us through what you've got and what you're offering through to our distribution partners over in the UK next year?
Yeah, sure. Well, as well as being Australia's oldest family-owned winery, we also have the only cooperage here in Australia that's on site as part of our winery. And a cooperage is where we make the barrels. So that's a really crafted industry that guests get to see and is part of all our experiences. It's one of only 4 in the world of other wineries. So, and when we're talking about history and heritage here in Australia, we also have some of the oldest Grenache vines in the world.
Ah, I love your Grenache. I've got
Oh,
some here.
delicious. Adult cordial, I call it.
Yeah.
So, and the reason why we have such vines is that we haven't had disease that the Europeans have had,
Yeah.
and some of other parts of Australia. So we're very lucky. So hence why they are the oldest vines. But also guests also get to see the oldest vines. And in the middle of the vineyard is actually our nursery where we graft and create the youngest vines. So it's a
Right.
great way to see old and new together. And also, just in the last few months, the Kaylee, which is part of the Yalumba portfolio and our leading wine, has got voted Australia's greatest red wine. So we're
Really?
developing
Wow.
a new experience. So while all the experiences get launched on the 1st of April for new rates, that'll be launching on the 1st of June because that's when
Right.
we're releasing our 2018 vintage. So that's the 4th year in a row we've been voted
Okay.
Australia's greatest red. So definitely one to look out for and to try. It's only in a few places in the UK, but well worth a hunt down for it.
Really, Australia's best red it's not too bad actually, as an accolade, that's for sure. And with the new experience, are you able to share what's going to happen with that Kaylee experience? I know you've got your beautiful little cottage up on the top of the hill there.
Yes, yeah, we have a beautiful little hut. So Yalumba was first founded with orchards around it as well as vineyards. And the little hut we have, which is a stunning little stone hut, guests get to do a private little tasting up there. It used to be a drying hut for the fruit to dry. So
Right.
dried fruit, funny that. And now it's like one of a iconic spot looking out onto the circular vineyard that a lot of the parcels of that vineyard go into the Kaylee itself, and there's a prize-winning vineyard as well. So it's a blend of not only Barossa grapes but also Coonawarra, halfway between Adelaide
Right.
and Melbourne. So it's a blend of iconic locations of grapes
Yeah.
for the Cabernet Sauvignon and Barossa known for its Shiraz. So a
Wow.
great red wine. And we'll also include a 3-course lunch with our sister restaurant, which is just a few kilometres down the road of Vintners.
Yes.
And so guests will not only have a wonderful immersive experience on site here at Yalumba, but also then head down to Vintners and finish the day with a stunning 3-course lunch sitting under the veranda there.
Yeah.
And then they'll head back to their accommodation. All transfers included, one-stop shop, don't need to worry about anything. We partner, as you know, quite a lot with the Louise, one of the luxury lodges of Australia. So the Louise Barossa, and we do a lot of packaging with them. Even in this coming June, we've got a weekend where guests get to be fully immersive with the Louise and Yalumba, where the chef's even coming over and catering for their guests here at Yalumba.
Oh, right. Oh, that's fantastic. And I guess to shout out around our sister collective, the Luxury Lodges, Louise has just been through a massive refurb, hasn't it?
Yeah, renovation looks stunning. Yeah, really.
And
great.
it was already beautiful and in such a great location. So it's really great that they are we're able to work with our the wineries that are members of Ultimate Winery Experiences in the Barossa that have this lovely place to stay. Is there anywhere else? I guess when we think about new accommodation places, there's quite a lot that's coming up, including the hotel at Seppeltsville, but that's not for a few years, is it?
Yeah, that hasn't even started digging into ground yet. But the Novotel Barossa has had a soft refurb as well, and that's a large, if guests are wanting to stay at a more safer branded name that they know and can rely on. It's got a golf course nearby, and we're probably about 20-25 minutes away from the Novotel. The Louise is only about 10 minutes away. And then, as you know, Kate, staying there, we also have the beautiful Stonewell Cottages. Probably not as well known in the Barossa, but a really lovely place to stay. And if you can hunt down rates, and Tina, who's the owner, wonderful, and would definitely be able to offer commissions and the like. So
yeah,
definitely
and I
put that
really, I could not believe how great Stonewall was, actually. And I think when you think about, there's the Novotel, which is, as you say, a kind of a well-known brand, and a fairly, I'd say it's 4-star, isn't it? 4-star
yeah,
hotel to stay in
4-star,
the
yep.
Barossa. It's and to have it's great that it's had that soft refurb, because I think a lot of people know and understand what the Novotel brand's about, and it's a great place to stay. But then the Louise is there, that super premium option. But for those Brits that are coming over that are looking for that heritage cottage feel in the most gorgeous location, Stonewall is a really good option. And so what we can do for the agents there is Stonewall's actually on the Ultimate Winery's website, and we can make introductions if you want to make that booking, because Tina is very trade friendly and understands what you guys are looking for. So I think that's a really fabulous one. Hey, come back to the other experiences, because I know when I've taken British agents to Yalumba in the past, the way that you, I guess, unlock the secret cellars and the tunnels. What's that experience about?
So daily we have our Unlock tour that's on offer. We only really take guests of up to 12. Usually the experience is around 6 people going on the experience. It starts around lunchtime at noon, and we venture over to the cooperage to have a look at how the barrels are made. If possible, if the coopers are in action, you can watch them making barrels. They're usually making barrels just before we're picking the grapes. So now November they started, and they'll be finishing around April time. It's a later vintage this year. So and they only make about 360 barrels a year. Wow. So quite limiting, and we have to purchase in other barrels. So we see that, and then we go into our beautiful clock tower, which I'm standing in now, and that's was built in but finished in 1908. So it's beautiful stone clock tower, and then underneath it, as you know, is our signature cellar, which guests get to try and siphon wine direct from the barrel from our signature barrel. They also go into our converted fermentation tanks, and then not on our Unlocked, but on every experience above that, they also get to go into the family's personal wine collection. Yeah. So if you've got guests that are or clients that are really into wine, then we have some of the oldest wines in Australia, but also some of the most iconic world wines. The family's been collecting them ever since they pretty much began. And Robert, who's our chairperson and also owner, is an avid fan of global wines, Old World, New World. We also import and export to different locations. So we're quite lucky to have such a variety of wines in the family's personal cellar. So if you've got something really special coming up, we might even have some back vintages that we can pull for the guests as well. So just depends how much they're into their wine. So
and I guess we know, you and I, that 5% of our audience are crazy wine people. And for those, if you English agents, if you've got customers who are crazy and can't sleep because they're missing a vintage from 2016, we can dial up the crazy. Our winemakers love that. But really 95% of our customer base are people that they're experience seekers. They love great food and wine, but they love it even more if they're getting to meet the winemaker, or they're talking to the owner of the vineyard, who might have, in your case, had the vines in Jess's family for 175 years next year. And they also I think there's a lot around that provenance, and what you bring to the table with your food option at Vintners is often the food and wine matching experience really comes to life. And the reason is that it's so rich and rewarding is the food grew just there. And so it's that story of the provenance matched with the terroir, and that whole local unique access to local people, that if you just dropped in and did a tasting, you wouldn't get that access. You wouldn't get access to special places, to the special wines and so on. It's when you book an Ultimate Winery experience that it really gets unlocked for your visitors. So, and we're noticing here in Australia that people really want to get truly immersed. They want to discover more about the region, discover more about what's going on behind the scenes. So I think we're in a really good place as our British visitors start coming back, hopefully in larger numbers over the next 12 months. Just speaking of that immersion in the destination, we've recently launched our Icons of the Barossa, which is a bookable wine trail. So Do you want to talk a little bit about how that's going to work with your sister wineries in the Barossa?
Yeah, so the three of us that are part of the Ultimate Winery group, there's St Hugo where guests get to do a Riedel masterclass, so the glassware that's come from the stunning Riedel family, and then they help on over to Yalumba where they'll do a local producer's picnic and immerse themselves in the grounds of the estate. So again, like you say, the stunning food producers we have, not only making wine in the Barossa, but also crafting artisanal food. So we have a local cheesemaker, a local butcher, local bread maker, local olive grower, olive oil and the like that's from our own. Everything comes within probably a 2-mile radius at the most, 5 kilometres for us here in Australia. So that's wonderful. Guests get to have a private tasting and then get to grab a bottle, head out onto the estate grounds and have a wonderful picnic experience. And then in the afternoon, when their tummies are full, they then head over to Seppeltsfield, only about 15 minutes from Yalumba here, and have 100-year-old tawny or port, as you know.
That's right. They've just done the release.
Pretty amazing as well experience for the day, and really handheld and hosted throughout the day as much or as little as guests like.
Yeah. So with for the English agents, we have pulled together those 3 experiences. You can book them independently, but we've helped you out to say, if you're going to have a classic day in the Barossa, this is the order that we'd recommend you do it in. And most of the time you'll find that your customers will want to stay out in the Barossa and just have that full day. But you could come out from Adelaide. In fact, actually Adelaide, for the British guests who may not have been to the Barossa for a little while, that new freeway has really made the Barossa so much more. It was already pretty close, and now you're kind of there before you know it. So it's really easy to get out there on your own.
3 hours drive.
Yeah, man, it's really good. I know. I love the fact that we're doing more of these bookable wine trails. And so for our British agents, just to remind you about Ultimate Winery Experiences, we just signed on a new winery in Victoria on the Mornington Peninsula, which brings us to 27 members. And the wineries come from 16 wine regions across the country, most of which are world famous. And we've handpicked our wineries, not because they're the same, but because they're different. They each have a different story to tell. And they're really into the idea of unlocking that story and giving you and your customers access that regular visitors wouldn't ordinarily get. So this year on the rate sheet, we've got 104 bookable winery experiences that range in price from $50 to $1,500. We really have missed you over the past couple of years, and we know that there's been a lot of VFR travel out of the UK as soon as the borders opened 12 months ago. We were able to we saw a lot of British visitors, but we figure now that everyone's settled into the world as it's going to be moving forward, that we're going to see a lot more visitors from the UK. We're hoping that you're going to be able to stay longer and really get back to grassroots. Our wine regions, they're really close to the major cities. They're really easy to access, but more importantly for you guys as agents, they're really easy to book. So with the release of the rates, all your preferred wholesalers and inbounders have got those rates and have loaded them in the system. And so come 1 April, you'll see the new releases there. We'll send you out some trade comms about what's new and the different ways to book that. But we just wanted to say thank you so much for your interest today. Lisa, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, hope to see you.
I think it's going to be a really exciting year ahead. As Lisa was saying, our harvest is a little bit late this year because we had a really cold year last year, but you guys are not coming because of the cold. You're coming because of our beautiful weather. And so I think if you're coming sooner rather than later, you're going to come into a beautiful autumn. And then as the seasons roll on, we're able to unlock different things that are happening behind the scenes, going beyond the cellar door at the Ultimate Winery Experiences Australia in our collective. So thank you so much for your time.
Hello, Kate.
Hey there, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Happy end of week for us. We're a little bit ahead of you, so I have my wine. I've got a King Valley, a little Pinot Grigio just to celebrate Thursday.
Lovely. It's only 10:20 in the morning here, so it's probably a bit early for our viewers to be joining.
Aren't you doing a really great tasting though with Brown Brothers, or has that already been?
That is later today. Yeah.
Oh,
So thank you for
fantastic.
flagging.
Fantastic.
I'm sure lots of our attendees this morning will be attending that later today.
Yeah,
If
very
anyone,
lucky.
yes, if anyone has any questions, please pop them in the chat. Kate, I did have a few up my sleeve, a few things I wanted to ask you about. You mentioned about there was a crossover partnership between the collectives, the wineries and the luxury lodges. Is there a way of seeing exactly how those elements cross over?
The really easiest way to see how we work with our sister collectives, being luxury lodges, cultural attractions of Australia, great walks, great fishing, great golf courses, and so on, is probably to go to the Tourism Australia portal for signature experiences. Because over the years, we have put together some pretty amazing itineraries that connect in each region all the signature experiences. And one of my favourites that I did with some British agents about 3 years ago was in Margaret River, where we did our 3 wineries, Voyager Estate, Lewin Estate and Bass Felix. We stayed at a luxury lodge, which was Cape Lodge. We did some Aboriginal experiences. There was some dropped in, for those that were into golfing, were able to play golf and so on. So there's lots of really interesting ways if you go to the Tourism Australia portal for signature experiences that you'll find suggested itineraries. But when in doubt, you can always come to us as well, because we work really closely in each region with the particular best fit partners for us. So we're able to put forward some suggestions as well.
Amazing, thank you. And you mentioned some beautiful elements and highlighted elements of the Ultimate Winery experiences there. And there are lots of lovely accommodation that tie into the winery experiences. How many of these winery experiences can you actually stay overnight at?
So we currently have 27 members from 16 wine regions across the country, and we have about 8 that have accommodation on site, and another probably handful of 5 that have accommodation just next door. And so that style of accommodation really varies. For example, we have glamping tents at Mount Cotton in Queensland with Cirame. We've got a really beautiful 5-star hotel in the Swan Valley at Mandoon Estate. There's only 36 rooms, and they're situated between the Vines and the Swan River. We have cottages on various winery estates. At St Hugo, you can actually stay in the original homestead that was the home of the Jacobs family of Jacobs Creek. So, and then at Gemtree, we have cabins. So we have in Australia, there's been this kind of explosion of tiny houses and smaller places to stay with a low environmental footprint. And Gemtree is probably our standout with that. They've got 4 cabins on site. Mm-hmm. And we recently sent a journalist there, and that she just raved about it. So it's a really great way to get involved in a wine region and really get to experience everything, all seasons and all times of the day.
Fantastic. Okay, we had a question in here from John asking for some information on the 10 minutes by tractor experience at Monalto.
Sure. Yes, that's right. Hey, John, it's good to see your name again after a little while. Yes, 10 minutes by tractor joined us in January this year, and the traction with this winery, some of you will know of 10 minutes. It's a really famous winery on the peninsula. It's about 65 minutes drive out of Melbourne. They make amazing Pinot Noir, amazing Chardonnay, and they're famous because they produce their wines in what's called high density vines, which for those crazy wine people amongst us, and there's probably some listening in, the vines are really they're very narrow, and it's all about the effort that those grapes make to get to grow. But their signature experience with us to start with has been called the Terroir Masterclass. And it is all about showcasing why the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria really makes some of the famous around the world Chardonnays and Pinots. So you get to really understand what's going on with the topography, what's going on with the wine production process behind the scenes, why the vintage is progressing as it is because of the weather that we've had some weird weather this year, and so on. So it really showcases that. And then for those that want to stay and experience their restaurant, which for some of you may realise that they had a fire there probably 3 or 4 years ago. They've rebuilt that, and they've got 2 hats, which in Australia is pretty amazing. So they've got their Terroir Masterclass. They can add on the dinner at the restaurant, and they're actually working really closely with some other operators down on the peninsula, including Montalto, which is our founding member. Montalto's been with us for 10 years, and they link in with Estate to Plate as well. So you've got a real immersion of fantastic winery experiences just an hour out of Melbourne. It's really fantastic.
Yes, so that is a good point there as well. Are a lot of the winery experiences located near cities, so they're quite easy to combine with a city break?
Yeah, that for most of them they are. I mean, we're about, I guess, getting immersed in wine and the winery production process. But for the most part, our wine regions are at maximum 3 hours out of the city. Most of them are 1 to 2 hours away. And as Lisa and I were talking about in the recorded version, there's a new freeway that can get you to the Barossa in an hour. So it's really about being. It's not only are they easy for you guys to book as agents, they're really easy for your customers to get to. So we have 3 that are city-based, Montalto, I beg your pardon, Mandoon Estate over in the Swan Valley. It's only 15 minutes from the Perth airport, as well as about 20 minutes from the Perth CBD. We've got Cirramain near Brisbane, and then, of course, we have Penfolds, which is world famous. McGill Estate used to be in the country 178 years ago, but it's now well and truly in the Adelaide foothills of the Adelaide Hills, and really Adelaide suburbia. So it's so accessible and such a surprise when you get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And then I noticed you mentioned a new member in there in Mornington. Are you able to
Yes.
elaborate and tell agents a little bit more about that one?
Sure. So that's 10 minutes by tractor. That was what John was
Oh,
asking
it
about.
is.
So
It is. Okay.
yeah,
Apologies.
so we have our 2 wineries down there on the peninsula at long last.
Okay.
We now have 7 wineries in Victoria. So considering South Australia is our heartland, we have 8 members there. Victoria is not far behind, and it really showcases, I guess, the diversity and the innovation that's sitting behind the Australian wine scene in general.
Okay. Fabulous. And then finally, I just wanted to ask about these trade comms that you mentioned were coming out, along with the rates and some news. Are you able to elaborate on what the trade can expect to hear from you soon?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do a separate line of communications to our agents, particularly the Aussie specialists and our retail agents. So I'd invite you all to register for our trade comms. If you go to our trade site, you can find the link at the bottom of our consumer site, which is ultimatewineryexperiences.com.au. I suspect, I mean, we've been doing this fabulous trade event with TTG for many years now. I think I know. I see the names there that are saying hello, and I know most of your names. So
Yeah.
most of you are going to get those comms. They are going out tomorrow. Is the 31st here? Gosh, they might have even gone or been scheduled already. But yeah, we just basically are highlighting what's new for the contractual year, which, as you know, starts on the 1st of April. Talking about our new members, talking about some tweaks in some of the old favourites. By and large, things are evolving as we think about the future. But if anything, it's really about opening that cellar door even further so you get a really great understanding of what's happening behind the cellar door. So,
Amazing.
yeah, thank you so much.
No, thank you, Kate. We'll have to wrap up there